letting some people in, and that's good. We'll keep doing that. We'll have an agenda here. We'll show that to you. But first, welcome to all of you, coordinators, association folks, and prospective officials. Welcome to our Officiating Recruitment Forum. We held one of these in June, and it was really successful. So we thought we'd have another one, and we're glad that you're a part of it tonight. So the pandemic has forced us to look at alternative methods for recruitment and training, and we found some really good things with it. And we think that this opportunity provides all of you the chance to ask questions, find out more about the sports that you enjoy and like, and can ask questions of associations and leaders that can help you along the way. So again, it allows us to reach the entire state in all sports, and we're thankful that you're all joining us to taking that first step towards what we hope to be a successful officiating career. So you'll hear from a number of accomplished officials tonight that have enjoyed success at the high school level and beyond, and they would like you to have that same success. I'm now going to turn it over to Laura McIntoon, Assistant Director with the League, who will cover some housekeeping and logistical items.
Good evening, everyone. And as Jason said, thanks for joining us. Our numbers are growing. I think it's good we have a virtual event on a snowy night that may have caused some issues otherwise. Just a couple of things. Many of us are well versed at Zoom by this point of a pandemic, but I would strongly encourage you to keep your cameras on. Just provides us a little bit more of a view of who's with us and an opportunity to see you and read body language and tailor our presentation a little bit. Would ask that you would mute your microphones if you have not already. There may be a chance to ask some questions, and we'll give you that opportunity at that point to unmute. I would strongly encourage you to use the chat. You'll find the chat icon down at the bottom, and using that for questions that you may have going through. There are a lot of people here that can answer those questions for you if it's something you're wondering about, don't want to ask in a large group, etc. Likewise, you're going to hear from a number of officials tonight, and after you hear their presentation, you may have a question just for that person. Please feel free to use that also. And then we're going to reference tonight several times a few different places that you can find some resources. And if you're seeing my screen right now, one of those is out, let's move that tab off. One of those is out on our website, and there's a tab that's officials and judges. And if you dig into that tab a bit, there are a number of officiating resources over here, one of which includes a list of officials associations. And you'll hear more about associations tonight, but also some pieces about recognition and officiating voices. Jason will talk a bit about that. And then we also have a microsite that was built just for tonight's event. And that's where you found the registration pieces, the agenda for tonight. This also does have some resources on it. If you're ready to become an official and you're at this spot, you can find those resources there also. So this is kind of a temporary spot to put some resources just for tonight. Know that that permanent go-to place is out at mshsl.org and then officials and judges. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Jason to do a quick overview of the night and then introduce our first speaker.
Thanks, Laura. Again, if you have any questions, comments at all, just throw them in the chat, and Laura and Pam and others will be monitoring the chat, and they can answer questions as we go, as well as our coordinators and our other experienced officials that can answer your questions. We're now going to move on to an introduction, a welcome from Eric Martens, who's the Executive Director of the Minnesota State High School League. And a little about Eric. Eric was born in St. Paul, lived in Mankato with his entire K-12 experience taking place in New Ulm. Growing up with four brothers, his mom believed it was important to experience everything. So he had experience in 3 sports, band, choir, student leadership, and a musical as well. I didn't know that about Eric until I read that. He attended St. John's and majored in math with a secondary education minor. His teaching and coaching career included stops in Mitchell, South Dakota, Cosmos, Minnesota, and Sauk Rapids, Rice. And he later became a principal in Sauk Center and Sauk Rapids, Rice as well. Eric's wife, Nancy, is a director in St. Cloud. He has 3 daughters with Nancy, Lauren, Lindsay, and Kristen, and they enjoy vacationing the lake, music, golf, sports spectating, and spending time together as a family. So with that, I'll turn it over to Eric for his welcome from the league.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate that, and didn't know I was going to get my bio read that carefully. That's great, and I am going to save everyone from that musical experience, and you'll appreciate that part of tonight. It's always good to smile at the beginning of a meeting, and first of all, I want to thank everybody on this call, whether it is aspiring officials or whether it's our longtime officials and clinicians or our staff at the Minnesota State High School League. Minnesota State High School League is a large group of individuals coming together really around one purpose, and that purpose is to provide the very best experience we can for the students who participate in our activities and our athletics. So just want to say thank you to everybody for finding time tonight and expressing interest or bringing your expertise to the table here this evening. We know that when it comes to adults and the work that they do within our high school league, there's a lot that direct and a lot that organize and do those kinds of things. But then there are coaches and there are ADs and there are officials that really make the games and contests happen. And when it comes to that, without those folks at the local level, in the gyms, on the rinks, on the field, at the tracks, whatever it happens to be, it doesn't happen without really quality individuals who focus primarily on students. And so that's really what the goal of the Minnesota State High School League is, to prepare our students for what comes next, and to do that through amazing experiences in athletics and in fine arts. As you consider moving forward as an official, I think there's a couple of things that I just want to make a mention of. So I've already said it a number of times, but the number one goal is around students, and everything we do here should focus on student experience. There's a lot of pieces that must come together for that experience to be a quality experience, and officiating and quality officiating is certainly a part of that. And so we know that we have many folks who have dedicated years and years, 30 and 40-year officials that are in our league, still contributing and supporting all of the activities that go on. So never lose sight of the fact that while you may be looking to improve your craft and to move up and to get more opportunities, every time that you step on the court, every time that you blow the whistle, whatever it is that you're doing, judge somebody in a routine, whatever that happens to be, it still should be focused on kids. I think the second thing that's really critical and important when it comes to the officiating side of things is you are there to maintain the integrity of the game. And remember always that this is part of a high school experience. And so there's a level of decorum, there's a level of respect, and there are a set of rules that need to be followed. And you are the person that makes that happen every time that you step out there. And the students, the coaches, and the fans, despite the fact that they might disagree with the call or with the determination, whatever it might be, know that that is your role. And that's a big role to have. And it's important that you are there to maintain that. And by maintaining the integrity of the game and the contest, you're going to also maintain a level of respect for yourself and for the work that you and all of the other officials do within our league. I think that's critical. And then finally, as you start into this, you may not see this as part of your responsibility as well. But I've always remembered those officials who really understood that this was part of an educational experience and taught even while they were officiating. And that goes with whether it happens to be with a coach or it happens to be with a participant. You know, it might be that one comment, just as you are, passing by them, that makes them understand that, first of all, you're a human and not just someone with a whistle, and that you understand where they're at. Or it might be a knowing smile, or it might be some other gesture that indicates that you really know where they're at and you're trying to assist them. Good officials communicate regularly while they're doing what they do, and they do it all for the purpose of guiding and teaching as you go forward. So again, I applaud you for taking time out of your evening to come here and to learn more. I'm excited for those of you that are venturing into officiating perhaps for the very first time. I can tell you that As a 23-year-old head coach, I didn't think the officials were there to assist me. But over time, I got used to that. And I built some great relationships with officials who I worked with as a coach, and they were officials, and realized that we are all on the same team and that we work together for the same reason. And the win is when our students walk off the court or skate off the ice or run off the track and have had a great experience. It's not about calling the perfect game or getting everything absolutely right, but it's about creating that great experience. And so if you're here for that purpose and to step into that arena, you are absolutely in the right place. You are fortunate this evening to have some great mentors. And I have a good friendship with Mike Spanier, who's not only an NFL official, but was a great high school or a middle school principal as well, an educator. And I just always appreciated his view of how things were. And he also taught me that it's okay to admit when you make a mistake, and told me exactly how he does it in the game, and grabs this head coach and that head coach and says, you know what, come here, here's what happened. This is what I made for a call. We're going to stick with that call. It was the wrong call, but we're going to go anyway. And you need to know that. And away we go. And did a great job with those kinds of things, and built a strong level of respect among the participants and the coaches and his officiating teammates. And so I hope that you're in it for the long haul and you're ready to step into an incredible journey. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. Eric's a very busy man, and so we appreciate his willingness to come on tonight and share that welcome from the league. So thank you, Eric, for that. Next on the agenda is another colleague of mine from the league, Tim Layton. He's our communications coordinator at the league, but he's also a 30-year basketball official. So he's going to talk about taking those first steps and how to get started, and getting connected with associations and mentors so that you can have a successful start. But a little bit more about Tim. Longtime league official, Wisconsin Division III in JUCO, has worked a number of sports, including soccer, basketball, baseball, and softball. A major leader in Minneapolis Officials Association, board member and past president, a league clinician, and he's also on the High School Today editorial board representing high school officials nationwide. So with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Tim Layton.
Well, thank you very much, Jason, and an additional welcome to all of you for joining us tonight in this officiating forum. For you prospective officials, I congratulate you with all my heart on making perhaps the most important decision of your officiating career, and that being taking those first steps. And those first steps include you being here with us tonight. I look back 30 years ago. I was in your shoes, and I was about to take those first steps to explore this world of officiating. It was something I didn't know a whole lot about, but I was a part of that 90-some% where the peak of my athletic career ended when I was in high school. And I wanted to be able to give back. I wanted to be able to say thank you for the experiences I had as a high school student participating, and officiating was my avenue to do that. I am so eternally grateful that I did take those first steps, because when I look around this Zoom meeting tonight, I see so many faces that I've had the pleasure of working with, either in an athletic contest or in a leadership role. Each one of them is on their own officiating journey as well. Now, 3 decades ago, I had the great fortune of having officiating pioneers and outstanding leaders and mentors take me under their wings and show me the way. A few of them, again, are on this meeting right now. They provided the guidance, the wisdom, and the tools that helped show me the way. Now, those are some of the incredible benefits of joining an association, and those are the things I'm going to visit with you about briefly this evening. Now, whether the activity of your choice is one that has an orange ball that goes in a hoop, a black disc that goes in a net, the one that has 2 points that are scored for a takedown, or a pike sukahara is worthy of a 10. joining an association is really a key integral part of beginning your journey as an official. Now, there are numerous options available when looking to join an association. Some associations are sports specific, and other associations might cover 2 or more activities. Now, when looking at joining an association, here are a couple of things that you can look at. Now, when you are assigned games, this is the avenue of where you are assigned games. Now, please know that going in as you begin your officiating journey, you likely will begin your journey by being assigned games at the sub-varsity level. That's great. That is a place for you to learn. It's a place for you to grow. It's a wonderful place to start. The opportunities after that, the opportunities for advancement are endless. Continuing education, that's another benefit of joining an association. Along the way, your association will provide a wealth of information from the National Federation of State High School Associations and us at the Minnesota State High School League that will keep you updated with rule changes, uniform modifications, or changes in mechanics, among a myriad of other things. Mentoring programs. That's an incredible benefit of joining an association. One of the greatest benefits of joining an officials association is the opportunity it provides to either be a mentor or find one. Now, mentors are those folks that lead us through the good times and they shepherd us through the challenges that we will face. They provide us with the necessary tools for the tool belts that we use when we officiate these contests. Another item is networking. Networking is the ability to meet new people and engage with them through the avocation of officiating. That is an incredible way of creating those friendships that last a lifetime. Now, there are many of us that when you continue your journey, you're going to hear a common refrain during the basketball season, for example, that says, quote, "These are my winter friends," end quote. Within the Minnesota State High School League, there are more than 6,000 contest officials. Those are a lot of officiating friends. Now, through your assignments, you likely will be paired with an official from another association. Through that networking, I am confident that you are certainly going to grow as not only an official, but also as an individual. As this officiating forum continues, you will receive just an incredible amount of information. It's going to seem overwhelming at times in retaining as many tidbits of information that you can. I really encourage you to remember the importance of joining an association. It can be the difference between a successful journey or a lonely one. Now, near the end of this meeting, you will have an opportunity to visit associations, and I believe there are a dozen of them that are with us here tonight. You will be able to join them through breakout sessions. There, you can hear additional information from association leaders that really are eager to assist you and to get you started. Now, one more additional nugget of information we'd like you to remember, and it's a really important one. The Minnesota State High School League and its officials associations, we are here. We are here to support you every step of the way to make your officiating journey a successful one. We want you to be able to share your journey years from now. In closing, it's been an honor and a privilege to share this brief piece of information with you during this forum. I wish you the very best, and I look forward to seeing you years from now, excitedly sharing your journey with others. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the officiating forum.
Thanks, Tim. Excellent. I might have to phone a friend, Jenny Smith, to confirm if that was the correct pronunciation.
I was quite impressed. Tim, you get a 10.0 just for pronouncing Pike Sukahara correctly. So
You got
congrats
it.
on that.
That's from my reporting days back in the day.
You rock. You rock.
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that. And as he mentioned, we do have associations that we can connect you with tonight and in the future. We do have more than 100 unique officials associations across the state, covering all 18 of our sports that have officials. And any sport or any area of the state that you're interested in, we can get you connected either tonight or after the meeting. So thanks, Tim, for that information. We're going to move into some officiating voices, and Tim alluded to that a little bit earlier, that we have some experienced officials who can talk about their experiences and how they got into officiating and what they like about it and what advice they have for all of you that are thinking about getting started with your officiating journey. And first on our officiating voices list is Jenny Smith, longtime gymnastics official. Jenny is from Woodbury, Minnesota, and she's been a gymnastics official with the league for 18 years. She has held a variety of leadership roles in gymnastics, including serving as president of the Minnesota Girls Gymnastics Officials Association, high school league gymnastics clinician, state gymnastics judge, officials advisory committee member, and a gymnastics coach for over 20 years for all age levels. Jenny is a finance intake manager at Fager Drinker Biddle Reith. Am I close?
You know, there's so many words stuck together. You did a great job. You did great.
I bet you cash a check with that name on it. Outside gymnastics, she enjoys downhill skiing, traveling, and spending time with her family and friends. So Jenny Smith, take it away.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jason. And again, Tim, great job on that Pike Sukahara. But as Jason mentioned, I am a gymnastics official with the Minnesota State High School League. I cannot tell you how much I enjoy it so much, but also I just like to welcome you all here this evening. We're thrilled that you're here, and it's a great meeting to just get started with any sort of questions that you have. I wanted to talk very briefly about kind of how I first started becoming an official, why I keep coming back year over year, and then just a little bit of advice that I have as you guys are considering taking those first steps to becoming an official. I actually was encouraged to become an official my senior year in high school. I had a couple of former coaches and teachers that were actually also gymnastics judges reach out to me and encouraged me to become an official after I graduated. They connected me to the right people, like association leaders, and my freshman year in college, I got started, and I have not looked back a day since. You could really tell that they loved the sport of gymnastics and wanted to recruit young officials as well to stay in that sport, whether it was through coaching or mentoring or officiating as well. So it was just a casual approach in the gym one day, and I really, really appreciated them reaching out to me. As Jason mentioned, I've kept coming back for 18 years, and hands down, I do it every year just for the love of the sport, to stay in it. The positive impact that an official can play, not only for the gymnasts themselves, but coaches and a lot of other fellow judges that you meet year over year. I know definitely I cannot do those flips, twists, or turns anymore that I used to be able to do when I was a teenager, but I still love staying involved with gymnastics and, like I said, giving back. I've also made some really awesome connections and friendships with a lot of the other officials I've met. I think it was, I don't know if it was Eric or Tim, I can't remember, but your winter friends, I could not agree more. While we don't see each other a ton during the off season, when we see my officials, when I see them again during the season, usually it's on a cold and snowy night. It's honestly like picking right back up where we left off, and it's just a really great experience. So just in closing, as I really encourage you guys, just go for it. When you guys are here, interested in becoming an official, don't be nervous that you won't do a good job. We have a lot of great tools and resources in place to help you along the way. Believe in yourself and know that you can really make an impact for high school athletes, and always, always reach out to others for help. We have a lot of great mentors that are here that are willing to help and want you to be successful in your officiating career. With that, thank you again. It's great that you're all here, and I'm going to turn it back over to Jason.
Thanks, Jenny. Great job. You know, if all of you want to become officials, you'll be able to have a very cool room like Jenny Smith with guitars hanging on the wall. So it a try and you'll be able to have that chance. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
Next, Kenan Moore, longtime basketball official, began his officiating career at the age of 24 and now has 18 years of officiating experience, including traveling ball, high school, and collegiate basketball. Kenan has officiated in the high school state tournament for the last 8 years. And in addition, Kenan is a middle school dean and athletic director in St. Paul. So take it away, Kenan.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate the opportunity of being here tonight. I do have to give credit to two gentlemen who I see on the forum tonight, Terry Reynolds and Jerry Teague. I do remember a long time ago stepping on the court with those gentlemen and them mentoring me my first couple of years of doing high school basketball. And it's because of mentors like that that has allowed me to continue with basketball, that has allowed me to continue on the court. Aside of that, I came to a point where I was coaching, and I kind of got to a point where my wife was just like, it's either coaching or basketball. You got to figure this out. You can't be married to all three of these things. So I did take the basketball aspect, and that allowed me to be able to choose my schedule and a little bit of freedom. I definitely got involved with basketball just because of the simple fact I love the game. Being a former athlete myself, I did have the opportunity of just having great mentors stepping in to officiate, and just loved it. The number one thing that I use basketball as a stress reliever, and it's just home away from home, and officiating is a home away from home. If you're going to be on the court or on the field or in the gym or any type of officiating stressed out, then that's not for you. But if you want something that's just an scapegoat to be a home away from home, create a family, because definitely officiating with other individuals is a great opportunity to just create another family and a network of opportunities for yourself. Definitely, like Jenny said, it's just like, we're all in this together. We are all a part of this, and the opportunity to just grow more is just great. I definitely am an advocate. I love to see that we have women officials on this forum tonight, because there are not enough women officials involved in whether it's basketball, gymnastics, or any type of sport that we have at the high school level. So much props to you guys that are out here on this forum tonight. The next thing that I want to let you guys know is, when you're on the court, or just types of officials, in my opinion, there's a confident official and a cocky official. The cocky official don't get anywhere. The confident official and leans on their partners and leans on others and mentors. Those are the officials that grow. And I believe that's the main reason why that I've been able to do what I've been able to do, just because of who I've had before me, and also the teaching and listening to the knowledge that's been brought to me. I still make mistakes. I absolutely do. And I will continue to make them, but I will also continue to grow from them. And I'm not a closed book. I am an open book. And so it's just, my opportunity is to just give back, like I just said with Jerry Teagues and Terry Reynolds. Those are a couple guys that gave into me early in my career, and seeing them out here. And so I thank you guys again. And if I could be of any help to anybody, please reach out to me. And I will do my best at anything, So thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. You're going to hear from a few other great officials tonight, and reach out. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Kenan. Appreciate that. I like that you mentioned that it's a stress reliever. A lot of people think that officiating is show up and get yelled at, and that's not necessarily the case all the time. It does happen, but but it is a stress reliever. It's a chance for us to get out and run around and get some exercise and, just get away from, the stresses of the day. So appreciate that viewpoint there, Kenan. So appreciate your efforts tonight. Rick Rude, next, he's our state wrestling coordinator. Rick began officiating high school wrestling in Minnesota in 1979, and he joined the Southern Minnesota Wrestling Officials Association, which at the time had 8 members. At their beginning, they were called the Wrestling Officials because I guess there was 2 of them, and later changed to the Southern Minnesota Wrestling Officials Association when Rick took over leadership of that association. They now have over 50 officials and cover all of Southern Minnesota. Rick attributes his success and growth of his association to a firm knowledge of the rules and fair enforcement of these rules, strong mentoring of young officials, and an ongoing belief and respect for every individual. Rick has officiated at multiple sections, state tournaments, invitational tournaments across the state. And in addition, as I mentioned, he is the state coordinator of our wrestling officials. So Rick currently lives in Lakeville with his wife Patty and has 2 grown children and 1 granddaughter, and he owns Minnesota Environmental Solutions, and he serves as president. So with that, Rick Rude. We got you muted, Rick. Most of the coaches you work for like that, but we need to unmute for this.
I really thought you could hear what I was thinking. Kenan, as always, you're a tough act to follow. Beautiful story. Jennifer as well. You know, I got to tell you, I reffed a wrestling match one time at the Clash, and it was a great team that came out of Punahou, Hawaii. They were judo trained, and they did things that we'd never seen before. And I really think I might have seen a pike sukahara. I didn't know what to do with it. I gave it 2 points for a takedown, and we just moved on. But a pretty impressive crew there. As Jason mentioned in the introduction, I've been officiating now. I guess we're going on year 42. So incredibly fortunate to have surrounded myself with some incredible people. The year that I started officiating, I got hurt wrestling in college, and my coach, my high school coach, gave me a rule book and said, "You're not done. I know you're not going to go into education. You're not going to be a teacher. Probably won't be a coach. You should be a referee." And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And I never looked back. My mentor, Dwayne Silker, was probably one of the best mentors anyone could ever have. And unfortunately, last week, Dwayne passed at 90 years old. But he taught me the number one thing was just respect for every individual. Know your rules, know them very well, but respect every single individual that you come across. And it was a great lesson for me, and one that I've carried forward as we took a very small association and turned it into a very large association. The one thing we do is bring in young officials and train them very well, and give them the confidence that they're going to know the rules, and we're going to help them, and they're going to be comfortable dictating those rules when the events occur. Now, as I went through my officiating career, also was growing my career, and I got a degree in computer science. And later on, after years of that, I went on to law school. And the interesting piece of this was that everything I did in my professional world was a matter of elements. If it was a computer program, there was elements that had to be satisfied before a rule of fire. And if there was a law, it had to have certain elements that had to be satisfied before you would have a case. Same thing happens in rules. You know your rules very well. Every one of our rules are a matter of elements. And if you study those elements and you break it down into its pieces, you can learn them very well, and you can teach it very well to the young officials. And if you find areas where some of your younger officials are having difficulty with something, break that down into the element. There's going to be pieces where they're rocking, and there's going to be a piece where they're struggling. Break it into smaller elements, find out where the issue is, fix it, and put them back together again. And I think that just is a statement for life as I've moved forward. One of the things, again, that I really strongly recommend to all of you new officials that are coming out is get yourself into an association. Get yourself a good mentor. The associations will do that for you, and stick with them. Stick with them, and you're going to learn something at every match. I've been in this for 42 years. I learned something all the time. There's constantly a new way of seeing something. It's a constant learning moment. And I think the other piece is you develop a lifelong friendship. And there's a sport, wrestling, that has given so much to me. And all of you have your sports that have given so much to you in your life. When we finish the state tournament, all of us officials go down and we ref a youth tournament. And we're on our hands and knees. Some of these kids are so doggone small. And we have tears coming down the side of our faces when we finish these matches. But we're helping these kids through, and they would have seen us from the stands at the state tournament, and now we're reffing their matches. And they enjoy that, but they also develop a respect for the rules and a respect for the officials. And they really develop a respect for themselves as they grow into this. So give back to the sport that gave you so much. Don't ever stop learning. And you're going to make a lot of friends. Since I've been officiating this and in the association, I started officiating weddings. And I've officiated 7 referees' children's weddings. So it is a family. It's a strong family. And the Minnesota State High School League is one of those family members, and they do a fantastic job. So thank you all. Best of luck. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need anything. And for those of you that want to join the wrestling forum, I think, Pam, I might have made a mistake and not put it in the proper connection, but we did put it in the notes. So if you look in the notes down there under Paul Fischbacher, there's a connect in there that'll take you out to the wrestling forum. So thank you all, and have a great evening.
Thanks, Rick. So what's harder, officiating weddings or officiating wrestling?
Weddings. Wow. Too many mothers.
Thank you. Makes sense. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate that. Good job. Samara Hadley, swimming and diving, excellent role model in that sport. She began her swim and dive officiating career in 2003. As a daughter of high school and college officials and the granddaughter of a college swim and dive coach, Samara is a 3-time league state meet referee and 15-year plus section official. Currently, Samara is the president of the Minnesota Swimming Officials Association, an all-state organization promoting excellence in swimming and diving in Minnesota, and serves as a member of the league's officials advisory committee. Samara is an active mom to 3 young boys, 2 of whom are divers. All 3 are 8th group swimmers, and she is a sales manager at General Mills and lives with her family in Orono. So, Samara Hadley.
Thanks so much, Jason. Appreciate everything that's already been said. I don't know how much different I will share, but like Jason mentioned, I grew up on the pool deck. I was a swimmer since I can remember, and my parents were officials and still actually are active officials in the Mankato area. And because of injuries, I did not end up swimming in college, but I knew that the passion that I had for swimming and diving was one that I wanted to continue. And so, like a few others have said, I just wanted to stay involved. And so the way that I did that was I actually made some money during college on the side by being on the pool deck all through college. So that's how I got involved. And I really didn't know that I would be this involved still all these years later with 3 young kids and working outside the home. But what's really kept me coming back, like I think everyone else has said, is the relationships. And the relationships that I've built, not only with fellow officials, but even swimmers. You see the same kids, week after week, and you see how different they are from year to year, even, and that's been really, really impactful for me. When a lot of people are passionate about a sport, they come together, and I think that's why you see such strong relationships with other officials. And with other coaches. Some of the highlights that I can say with some of the relationships that I've built are, we had an all female state crew a couple of years ago, which was really great to see. And I know Kenan had mentioned the importance of women in officiating in all sports. And I had a great experience this year. I was on a new pool deck as I was kind of traveling a lot of different places this fall. But one of the young swimmers came up to me and she's like, "It's so great to see a fellow or another woman as an official." And she actually proceeded to ask me about how she could get involved someday. And I think that's super awesome to continue to be a role model. And I know that that's important to show young swimmers and divers as well. I see my kids now growing up around swimming and diving. They've seen my passion. And it's really not not a question that mom is at state and at sections every year, as it's really like the best days of my life every year. And I'm just so thankful for that. And I just echo what everyone has said about relationships. From an advice perspective, what I would say is that I think Eric kind of mentioned it. A lot of people are needed to continue to make these sports better and to continue to place importance on all the sports and activities that we have. And you are needed. And it's not always a glamorous job. As Jason shared, I guess you can search from a recent experience where he was on the football field and had a little flip. I don't know if Jenny could have judged it, but it's not always glamorous, but it is so rewarding. And here I am years later, now having children who are actually diving and swimming, and it's actually kind of reignited my love for the sport, and I'm so privileged to be a part of it. And I would just encourage you, ask the questions. You're going to see students at their highest of highs, in their careers of high school athletics and arts. And you're also going to see some lows, but it's been super rewarding for me to be a part of those, and we're all needed. So welcome. Thank you for joining us, and I appreciate all of your time.
Thanks, Samara. Yeah, just a lot of common themes, some sports that couldn't be more different between wrestling and gymnastics and basketball, swimming and diving, and just a lot of common themes. And I have to tell you, Samara, that when I fell and did a somersault last Saturday in my football game, my toes were perfectly pointed on my somersault, so I would have gotten points in diving and gymnastics both. So thank you, Samara. Very well done. Appreciate that. Our next presenter, John Priester, multi-sport official, started officiating high school and collegiate sports in 2000. He's officiated baseball, hockey, and football. Attended a professional baseball umpire academy. He was awarded with 7 straight Division II regional baseball tournaments while working Division I, II, and III baseball. John has umpired in several league state tournaments, and he worked the home plate assignment for the first championship game played at Target Field. They needed an improvement because I worked the game before him, and they were looking for something a lot better. So they brought John in to work the plate, and everyone remembers that tournament for quality experience that it was. So thanks, John, for that. He's also been assigned to 5 league state hockey tournaments and several hockey section finals. He's currently a board member with the Minneapolis Hockey Officials Association, and also the vice president and college chair for Northwest Association of Umpires. John grew up in Oakdale and graduated from North St. Paul, lives in Stillwater with his wife, Jill, and their 3 kids. So take it away, John. Is it just me, or can anyone else hear John, or is it just me? You guys good?
No,
No.
we're not hearing you, John.
No, you're on mute. That part's good. Oh, now you're muted.
John, are you on double mute somewhere else? Like, I don't know if you've connected elsewhere where that's muted.
I would say the last thing, John, is turn your volume up on your computer. Maybe that might be an issue as well.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Sorry about that. I only sit in front of a computer 10 hours out of the day. You think I should have figured that out? So Thanks, Jason. Appreciate the opportunity. As I was saying, it's great to see all the familiar faces on the call tonight and all the new faces. I got involved when I was a little kid. I would actually ride my bike down and umpire little league baseball games in my neighborhood. After college, honestly, I was looking for some way to buy a new car and a house. So I got involved. I did a Google search and got involved in umpiring. And that took me to a professional baseball academy a few years later, something that I never knew even existed. But with the connections that I got in the baseball world, it really made me help me grow as an official. That branched out into baseball and then also into hockey. One of the things that I would advise everyone on the call here today is get involved in anything. I'm working 2 sports. These are both sports that I played in high school. I used to work football. It was not a sport that I played in football, but again, I got involved in it. I'm going to date myself here, but there was no lacrosse when I went to high school. There was no lacrosse when I graduated from college in 2000. We're looking for lacrosse officials. A lot of hockey officials are now participating in lacrosse. Another thing that has changed is when I was in school, it was called ringettes. There was no girls hockey. So it has changed over the years. So my one thing is get involved in something. You don't have to have a background. You don't have to have played in college. You don't have to have played in high school. Get involved in something. For example, I've got 3 kids and they all play soccer. It's not a sport that I ever participated in. It's not a sport that I officiate in, but I do work with the officials that are out doing little league soccer and talking to them about just being an official in general. I don't know any of the rules of soccer, but I can talk to them about confidence and dealing with people. Another thing, and it's been brought up a few times here, is we're looking for more female officials. There are a ton of females that are involved in high school hockey, but we need more officials. And again, it's just not officials in girls hockey. We're actually fortunate enough to have a few females that also work boys high school hockey. But we need officials, and especially women, female officials in all sports at all levels. What you've heard a lot is friendship. And that is really one of the things you can't pay for it. It happens. These are officials, honestly, that some of them were at my wedding. I have other friends in the officiating world that I work with during the day. I have other officials that our kids are now friends because of the connections that I made during my journey. Another nugget, Jason, thanks for the introduction. I think it was maybe 15, 16 years ago, we were running around on a college baseball field together over in the old Metrodome. Our journeys have taken us in different paths, but at the end of the day, we're all officials inside in our heart. Finally, just a few things on hockey specific information. If you're involved in USA Hockey, get involved in high school hockey. If you're an ex-player at the high school, college level, junior level in hockey, get involved. Honestly, ex-players make the best officials. And at the end of the day, hey, if you can skate, we'll take you. We're looking for people that can skate. Hockey is unique. You got to be able to stand up on ice. But if you're interested in the sport and you got a pair of skates and you can put it on, we'll put you in the right position. So again, thanks. I will be hosting a hockey and baseball forum after this. I'm involved in both hockey and baseball associations, so I will try to cover both of those sports at the same time. So again, Jason, thank you, and to all the officials out there that I've worked with on the field, thank you, and for all the new people, I hope that we can make a connection and set you in the right direction. So thank you, Jason. Take it over.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Yeah, good memories for sure. And we go on our different paths, but here we are 15 years later, and we're back on the same presentation, and hoping that people can take the baton. So, all right. We're going to now talk about just some steps and basic pieces of becoming an official with the league, and just the steps that we're looking at. And I'm going to present that with Brett Carlson. Brett's been really instrumental in keeping this officiating recruitment forum going. He has pushed to make sure that we have this opportunity for people. And originally we had this in person at Tartan a couple years ago, and then we were going to have it in person again, but then the pandemic came along. We had to make adjustments and have this recruitment forum, and we think it's a really good way to connect with many different individuals across the state in a variety of sports. So Brett will be presenting with me. Brett is the Community Education Director for North Branch Area Public Schools, and prior to serving as the Community Education Director there, he was also the Activities Director at North Branch and Lakeville North High Schools. Brett is part of the Coaches Education faculty, so we won't fault him for that. We'll participate in the officiating forum, but he works a variety of state tournaments and assists in a number of our initiatives and programming. So thanks to Brett for his constant support and assistance with this forum. So part of the league officiating program, I'm the coordinator of officials, and we have a number of regional and state coordinators, associations, charter clinicians, observers that are all in position to assist officials across the state. And Pam Iniger is our assistant in the officials program, and she's excellent. And if you need anything at all, just give Pam a call. She will get you going with whatever you need. But these folks that are listed on the screen, these are the people that really make the officials program go, and they'll always be there for you to help with mechanics, with rules, with whatever it might be. So those are the folks that are really instrumental in the success of the program. And I'm going to turn over to Brett to talk about becoming an official and really why he pushed to have this program. So I'll turn over to Brett for this piece.
Thanks, Jason, and welcome everyone. What Jason means to say by pushing for this is that I was really pretty annoying about it a few years ago and really wanted to, kept hearing about the need for officials and thought, let's get creative in how we do it. Really our first one, as Jason talked about a couple years ago at Tartan High School, was geared towards kids going off to college, as many of our voices talked about, when I was looking for a part-time job to buy a car to get through college. We really started it for that, to try to figure out a way to help college kids earn a little income and get through school. And it's grown to this, and it's really exciting. I saw the list of attendees, and we have people from all over the state. So that is just wonderful. As you read the bullets there on your screen, those are nothing new. People have talked about that for the last half hour on this, and those things have already been highlighted. But really, as Samara said, you are needed. And in my opinion, there is no better place to be than in a gym or a rink or whatever it might be, working with young people, whatever your passion is for sports to officiate that. Working with young people is just awesome, and it's amazing. And you'll see their highlights and it's just a wonderful place to be. So I hope that you take that next step and you challenge yourself to do that, because it will be rewarding for you. There is no doubt about that. And as again, we heard through all of our officials already talk about, it's all about relationships. Life is all about relationships. And one of my favorite parts of my job is I get to work the state tournament. They haven't kicked me out yet. And it's just fun to visit with officials, and there's just no better group of people than officials, and how much they just care about kids and want to see kids be successful. So I really hope that you, obviously those are other things on the screen too, but I really hope those two things kind of stick with you as you continue your journey. So thanks again for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Brett. Yeah, I see all of those things and more, and just think about my own officiating experience and all the friends that I've made over the years, and all the places I've been able to go that if it were not for officiating, I would not have had the opportunities that I've had. I've been fortunate enough to officiate in 41 states across the country. And if I didn't give that high school officiating a try, 20 some years ago, may not be in some of the great places that I've been able to go to date. So, obviously not all of us are in this to get into, Division I or professional. It's just to stay involved in the sport that we enjoy. But there's great opportunities at all levels and all parts of the state. So just, encourage you to give it a try, because there's all these benefits and more to becoming an official. So at the league, we work to promote officiating as something that's desirable to do. And, we tell you what a great thing it is, and we think it is. And we think you'll agree if you give it a try. But give it a try, and you'll find out, what we mean. Officials registration, observation programs, we assist in all of that to try to help you get better and progress in the program. And that includes training development, acting as a liaison to our officials associations, always working to get better. When we're officiating, we're always trying to improve our craft and get better from one game to the next. You're never going to work a perfect game. We've all officials on this call have said if we work a perfect game, match, event, whatever it is, that we will retire, and all of us are still officiating. So, just know that out front. You'll never work a perfect game, but, we're always looking to improve. And the same with the program at the league. And then we're responsible for selecting officials for the state tournaments. In officiating, the key aspects are what Rick talked about in his presentation, talking about the fundamentals. And that's how you'll really get better at the officiating avocation. And it's same as playing or participating in a sport. So if you want to get good at shooting free throws, then you need to practice and get muscle memory and be good at shooting free throws. And by basketball today, I can tell you that no one works on free throws. But the comparison, the metaphor for officiating is that if you work on the fundamentals of contest rules, mechanics, communication, and work on those pieces, and it will take experience. You're not going to get it overnight. That's going to take you some time. But if you work on that over time, you will become a good official. And as you become more experienced and you have more training and rules and mechanics, you're going to enjoy it more because you're going to make less mistakes, and you're going to have a greater time when you're out there. But no, you're going to make mistakes. We all do. We try to promote officiating every turn, and Brett's been instrumental in that. We have our own Twitter feed, Facebook, etc., to promote officiating. Our new website has an officiating portal to promote officiating. Now, I'm not sure that showing a track meet in snow and a football game in a blizzard promotes officiating, but if you like that sort of thing, this is for you. And you see all these people. We have dance team, track, football, pretty different sports, but all of them have a passion for the sport that they enjoy. As I mentioned earlier, officiating recruitment portal on the league website. There's a variety of content that will assist prospective officials in connecting them or you to an association, describes the registration process, and then there's frequently asked questions as well. As always, you can connect with the league or staff or an association mentor to help you. We manage registration, provide service to approximately 6,300 contest officials, which Tim mentioned earlier, and we get sport mailings out to all of you, pertinent information, rule books, etc. And then we also answer all your emails and phone calls with questions. We're here for you at the end of the day. We're not going to leave you out on an island. We're here to help, both at the league and our associations and our coordinators and clinician staff. If you're ready to register to become an official, we'll send a link out link for that to you in an email to all of you that are on tonight. We'll connect you with local associations. Again, there's a number of them that will have Zoom or Google links for you to meet with them and ask questions, and take advantage of that. Go to as many as you can. Even I would encourage you to go to one for a sport that you really have no experience with, and ask them questions. You can learn from all of those folks, regardless of whether it's a sport or an association that you may plan to join. We do all of our eligibility and requirements through Arbiter Sports. It's a small fee for new officials. It's $30. Typically, there are some other fees included outside of the league, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, just to give you an idea of what those might be. But the typical requirements for officials to work varsity contests: a couple online rules meetings, an exam, concussion module, and then a background check. If you complete those pieces, then you would be eligible to work varsity contests. Here's that link, and this gives you an idea of what the registration dashboard would look like on Arbiter. And again, we're here to help. Give us a call and we can talk you through this process. We got Samara, one of our presenters, front and center on this picture, talks about the fees: $30 sport one, $15 for additional sports, and then you can also purchase additional publications on our online store, such as Simplified and Illustrated and Rules by Topic. And those are really good documents for new officials to have, even veteran officials, because it either breaks the rules down by topic, or what I like, the Simplified and Illustrated, is really breaks it down into smaller chunks, and it has a lot of illustrations and pictures to take you through the rules, because that's going to be one of the bigger challenges getting into officiating. Is if you've played the sport, doesn't necessarily mean that you know the rules, and you find that out to get into officiating. So I think those documents might help you as you go through this process. Talked about a background check. It's required for all new officials. We do rechecks every 5 years, which is why we require that you put your birth date and social security number in Arbiter when you register, so that we can go ahead and run those. You don't need to do anything separate. You just consent to a background check, put that information in, and we will run it. And no news is good news on the background check front. Concussion module. State law requires that anyone that's working with kids under the age of 18, whether it's as a coach or as an official, is required to complete a concussion module, and that's available to watch now. You retake that course every 3 years. Every sport that we have, and all 18 sports that have officials, has a online rules meeting, and it has an exam. There's also a general officiating module that covers pieces that are common to all of our sports and activities. Each online module varies in length. It depends on rule changes, points of emphasis, and those kind of things. And then the exam is anywhere from 30 to 100 questions. Must score 80% to pass, and it is an open book exam, and you get 2 tries if you were to fail on the first attempt. We always recommend to connect with a mentor or association to help you through the test, because you find that first time you find out really where your rules knowledge is and how much we need to get in the book. And even veteran officials need to keep their nose in the rule book long term, because we're always learning something new. In that packet that you'll receive, if you register with the league, you will get a rule book in your packet, case book or mechanics manual, depending on the sport, and then any rule changes and points of emphasis and general league info. Our returning officials don't get packets this year. We do rule books every other year, but for all new officials, you will receive a packet this year if you go ahead and register with the league. Here's a snapshot of our officials by sport over the last 12, 13 years. And we've kind of maintained steady numbers across all of our sports. But you see sometimes when we have a downturn in the economy, we see a little bit of an uptick in officials, and folks are looking for an extra opportunity to make some other income, and officiating is a good way to do that, as Brett mentioned. And when I was in college, I was working varsity sports all year long as an official, and my student loans were gone 2 years after I graduated from college. Now, granted, the amount that you pay for college has changed a little bit since then, but there was a lot of opportunities for me to do things financially that most college kids can't do, and officiating high school sports allowed me that opportunity. And one of those is my parents were looking to move houses, and they were in a bidding war, and they needed an earnest check for $5,000 to win their bidding war, and they got the check from me. And that's the house they still live in, and that was 22 years ago. So, there's opportunities that are out there financially. Is it huge money? No, but I think it does provide a lot of great opportunities, to make some money that can allow you to do things that maybe you wouldn't have opportunities to do otherwise. We create clinic curriculum and develop opportunities in a number of sports, and these are the training and development that we provide from the league. But again, our associations provide many outstanding training opportunities at the local level, so they would assist you with this as well. We have video training, we have clinics, mid-season check-ins now on Zoom that allow folks to ask questions and find more out about rules and mechanics of their sport. So those have been really well received, and we will continue with those this year. We develop and implement rules meetings, training for all those 18 activities. And typically we schedule 35 in-person training clinics statewide in a typical year. Now this year is not typical, not having in-person meetings, but we've replaced those with Zoom, and it's been a great opportunity for us to connect again with people from across the state and across a number of sports. We mentioned this earlier, we have 100 unique officials associations statewide. Many of those service a number of sports, and several only have one. So swimming has one, dance team has one, boys and girls lacrosse just have one. But then there are many associations that may serve football, basketball, baseball, softball, and volleyball as well. So we have many varieties out there, and they do an outstanding job of supporting new officials, their veteran officials in their group, and then our member schools. They do a really great job of being a conduit to them and providing great service to them. We host annual meetings for those charter clinicians so that we can talk about rules and mechanics so that they can bring it back to new officials and assist with those in their groups. We talked about this a little bit earlier. There are some other, fees that come with starting as an official. There's equipment and uniforms that you're going to have to get, and those costs range anywhere from $100 to $300 or more, depending on the sport and what kind of quality we're talking about and what you may already have. And check with your association or leaders in your area or your sport. they may have equipment they can help you with, or discounts that are available for new officials as well. Typically, we'd tell you to work a scrimmage. The scrimmages aren't happening this year with COVID, but similar to what John Priester mentioned in his presentation is, get involved in anything that you can. That includes work as many games and scrimmages that you can fit in, because that's how you're going to learn. And it'll allow you to meet some of the veterans who can help guide you that Tim talked about earlier tonight. And once you've done all these steps, you're ready to start and, find a mentor so you can get advice and feedback. Keep getting better, keep working on your craft. We're always going to learn something. There will be games that don't go well. That's what your mentor is for. They can be there to assist and help you in your journey. We have insurance as part of the league's program, so you're covered there, but there are additional insurance programs out there for you if you're interested. And NASL and Referee Magazine are a good resource for you if you're interested. And finally, thanks. It's been said many times, but I want to reiterate it. Thanks to all of you for taking, that next step towards becoming an official, giving a chance by coming on tonight to find out more, and tell your friends. We talk about your winter friends, as officials, but I can tell you that once they become your winter friends, they're going to become your summer and your fall friends too. Those are going to be the people that you're going to play slow pitch with, and hopefully someday go to restaurants with. They're part of your life. They're your friends, and they're your go-to confidence. And we have Jenny Smith, another presenter in this picture, and you can see how much she enjoys what she does, and we're confident that you will too, if you give officiating a try. So with that, we're going to move back to Laura to describe how you can join the association roundtables to ask questions about the associations or the specific sports. And again, we encourage you to join as many of those as you can, ask questions, get all of your concerns, comments, requests. So we'll turn it over to Laura to describe that process.
Great, thanks, Jason. So I'm going to drop in the chat the link. I have a mouse tonight that won't drive straight. So that link in the chat will take you to this page that has a list of the associations who are hosting roundtables tonight. And those associations were asked to tell you what association they were, what area of the state they cover, what sports their association covers, and then they provided us with the Zoom link. It looks like all of these except the one for M&D should be just a click and go. This one has, if you look at the link, it has the access code and password in it also. So that one might take an extra click to get you into that. And after I told Rick I did his right, I'm looking, Rick's is actually this second one. That's the US 05. So if you're looking for Rick's wrestling one, this US 05 is the one that will get you into his. So with that, as Jason wraps up, those of you that are jumping into association meetings, now is your time to move into that area. If there are questions that you have for Jason or others, you're welcome to stay in this part of the Zoom room and ask those questions. If you're having trouble getting into any of those association ones also, just stick here and we'll see what we can do to help you get into those. Jason, any last words?
Well, thanks, Laura, and thanks to all our presenters. Appreciate their work, their willingness to be a part of the night and take some time out, because they know how important it is to help new officials get off on the right foot. So, and thanks to Laura and Pam and Tim for their and Brett for their support as well of this. They put up with my constant initiative, so I appreciate their support and work on that. But we will be here in the Zoom, in the main Zoom. If you have questions, throw those in the chat. Otherwise, we encourage you to join as many of the association roundtables as you can.
Thank you all.
Somebody asked if I would share the link to the wrestling in the main one. I can do that.
Sure.
So make sure you're just working through your mental process, picking up whether the throw is a true throw, could be a trouble throw.
I just posted in, John, should be the wrestling one.
Okay. Thank you.